Richard and Elizabeth Pearson were the quintessential couple, a picture of devotion and love that spanned 45 years. Their story was one that friends and family admired, a love that had withstood the test of time. Together, they raised 4 children: James, Emily, Sarah, and Michael. Richard, a dedicated architect, provided a comfortable life for his family, always striving to give them the best. Elizabeth, a loving and supportive wife, was the heart of their home, her warmth and kindness the glue that held the family together. But beneath this seemingly perfect exterior, a dark secret festered. A secret that would eventually unravel the fabric of their lives. As a young couple, Richard and Elizabeth's love was passionate and intense. However, as the years went by, Richard began to notice subtle changes in Elizabeth's behavior. Late-night phone calls, unexplained absences, and an emotional distance that he couldn't quite place. Though he tried to brush off these concerns, believing that the pressures of raising a family and managing a household were to blame, the doubts never fully left him. James, their firstborn, was the apple of Richard's eye. From the moment he was born, Richard felt an unbreakable bond with him. But as James grew older, Richard noticed a striking resemblance to one of Elizabeth's old college friends, a man named David, with whom she had once been very close. Richard's suspicions began to grow. But he dismissed them, not wanting to taint the joy of fatherhood. Emily was born 3 years after James. She was a beautiful child, with bright eyes and a vivacious spirit. Elizabeth often mentioned how much Emily reminded her of her old friend Peter, a charming and adventurous man who had visited them during one of Richard's extended business trips. Richard, again, brushed off his concerns, but the seed of doubt had been planted even deeper. Sarah, their 3rd child, was quiet and introspective, with an artistic soul. Elizabeth encouraged Sarah's creativity, often telling Richard how Sarah took after her old art teacher, Mark, a man who had mentored Elizabeth during her brief stint as an art student. By this time, Richard had noticed the pattern: each child seemed to bear a resemblance to one of Elizabeth's male friends. The nagging doubt in his mind grew stronger, but he chose to bury it. Not wanting to believe that the woman he loved could betray him so profoundly. Michael, the youngest, was born during a particularly challenging period in Richard and Elizabeth's marriage. Richard had been working long hours, trying to secure a major contract for his firm, while Elizabeth seemed more distant than ever. Michael was a sweet child, but as he grew older, Richard couldn't ignore the resemblance he bore to a man named John, a family friend who had stayed with them for a few months during that time. The similarities were too strong to be coincidental, but Richard, driven by his love for his family, convinced himself that his suspicions were unfounded. As the years passed, Richard's doubts simmered beneath the surface, affecting his relationship with Elizabeth. The once loving couple began to drift apart, their conversations growing strained and their intimacy fading.